What is up, everyone? NFT Pirates back at you again. Carson and I are going to be, chatting it up today, just talking about some different strategies and what we need to do now. Obviously, the market has been insanity. Like things have been popping off left, right, and center.
Literally.
And I think we just want to get into like some serious combos today as to like how to approach, this next wave of users, because what we're realizing is that we can't have it all. That we have to, diversify a little bit, but at the same time, there's so much still coming that you're going to run out of money at some point.
Yeah, no, it's a smart thing that you're saying there, to be honest, because like right now we're seeing all like Mara's, Supergirl, all this stuff go on like levels that we've never even seen it on before. Like Supergirl's at 2.4K.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that? Like yesterday it was at 1.5K, now it's at 2.4.
Right.
So it's only a matter of time before all this money gets put into like small stuff like the Mighty Marvels and stuff like that.
Exactly. And it's like, man, and this is where I have so much trouble, because I'm like, what am I better off doing? Like holding all these different like grails, like let's just say like, 10 grails, or like hyper focusing again on one area. Like I talked to you today about this. Like, what if I sold off like a Walt, which again would be my last remaining one, but then put all that money into like Spider-Man. Like I could get like the full set sub 1000 complete, the full Ben Riley set complete, even the Zombie Hunter ones complete, and then focus on getting like Spider-Man comics in the background, and then just being like, listen, like I am fully focused on Spider-Man, and then have enough room for Venom and stuff. Because I'm like, to me, what makes value stand out is something that's really difficult to get. So I'm like, there's only probably less than 500 people with a Spider-Man complete set in the world right now.
Oh yeah,
right?
For sure. And even Ben Riley, man, 616 of the ultra rare.
Exactly.
Like Ben Riley might start chasing the secret rare Spider-Man.
Right.
Might even surpass Walt just because the low mint and it's FA.
Yeah, and I'm just like, everything's so unforeseen, but I'm like, man, how could you go wrong on like a major superhero like Spider-Man, right? And I'm like, if I just diverted all my resources to that one area, not only would I be able to sleep better at night, because I'm always worrying about like all the other crap, like, oh, but if it's, if something comes out that's in your scope, then you could be like, oh, I'm going to show up for that drop. But if things are always outside of your scope and you're just trying to get everything, and like you just have this crazy kind of assorted collection that doesn't really make much sense, as if like taking now this like one area, you can get so specialized at it that you might actually be able to sell like that whole vault off to some big millionaire that's a Spider-Man fan in the future.
Yeah, and Spider-Man is the most popular superhero literally in the whole world. So it would be a smart option, to be honest. But it's funny because like the way you're thinking about that right now, I kind of think about that like there's certain guys that focus on Bitcoin, for example.
Right.
They trade Bitcoin and they only focus on Bitcoin out of all the cryptocurrencies. So like I'm almost treating each character now as a stock. Like I look at it as a stock. I'm like, okay, like Mara, for example, right now, if you go look at, so like let's say Bitcoin, relating it to Bitcoin and Ethereum. If Bitcoin's at 50K, Ethereum's at like 7, and then as soon as Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum follows it. So I'm thinking Bitcoin's like Supergirl and Mara's like Ethereum. So when Supergirl goes up, it just did a pump to 2.4K. Mara's going to go to 500-600. So I think you have to look at these characters, like you said, like almost just focus in on like a couple and just go from there. Unless you're trying to make a quick flip. Like if you're trying to make a quick flip, then obviously you should have like a pretty diversified portfolio. But yeah, like a long-term hold, or Spider-Man is pretty much like your best bet.
Yeah, because I started thinking about it. I'm like, do I just go after the grails of each category? So for instance, like Todd for DC, Partners for Disney, and then, Secret Rare Spider-Man for obviously for Marvel. And then, continue to do that as more things come out. So you have like each major grail in each category. But then I was also like, but are you really sticking out still in a sense? Like, or are you just kind of, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, what's the likelihood of somebody, like in 5 years from now, what's going to be worth more, like 10 or 11 grails, or like insane complexity into one hyper-focused area? You know what I mean?
To be honest, I think a lot of stuff we're seeing too is like, okay, so everyone's focusing on Walt, and they're like, Walt's a grail.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, R2D2 is chasing it. And R2D2, like, I don't know how much people know, but like, as we talked about earlier, like, that's one of the most famous movies in the entire world, Star Wars. So R2D2 is going to be, now R2D2 is the grail, so it's almost sometimes it's smarter to take like Walt that jumped first to 30 grand and take your money and diversify it into, like we talked about earlier, like a bunch of Supermans or something.
Yeah.
Like when Walt did the 15,000 jump, if you'd have took that money and threw it into Supermans when they're at 2K, imagine what you would have had now.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was
So like,
I had like 16.5 liquid, and I bought into Walt at one point, right?
Yeah, which is still not a bad move.
Which still wasn't bad. It still went jump. But if I would have bought 5 Supermans, I would have made an extra 10K on that one move, right?
Yeah. So, and who knows? Yeah, in the future, it could be even more than 10K.
Yeah, exactly. So it's difficult to guess this stuff and to know what works. Like, the thing that I've noticed though is that people that are just hodling everything from the beginning are doing the best, because sometimes it's hard to know what's going to jump. It's like this day trading stuff, man. It's tiresome, and that's why that's why I'm like actually really considering just going into one area, because then like I don't have to be obsessed with this platform and be on it all the time. I could just like come in once that it suits my collection.
Yeah, no, that's smart, to be honest. You should do that.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, like that's what I'm realizing about this. It's going to outgrow anyone unless you literally have tens of millions of dollars to continue up with everything. I don't see how you can keep up and be like, yeah, I collected everything, like without investing a good, $100 million like in the end.
Yeah, unless you had like at the beginning you bought like your buddy there when you bought all the Tods, he could keep up because he could sell one Tod at 14K. He's still got 149 left.
Yeah.
And then he's got like 13K sitting there to go buy all the rest of the drops.
Yeah.
So I think if you're in that scenario, you can, but if you're in our scenario, there's no way we could get every drop and stick to every collectible.
But what I like you said about diversity is that like when Spider-Man, let's say, has a bad day or something in the news comes out bad about Spider-Man, then well, guess what? You also have Batman,
you're right,
and Todd, whatever, right? Like you have all these other things that are kind of helping lessen the risk of like you just going into that one thing. Now the thing is, if you go into one thing and it works out, then bam, you're going to be a big millionaire. But if you like, if it doesn't work out or something happens, even though again, Spider-Man it's difficult to say that it won't do any better because it's doing amazing. Yeah. But I think that's what I like what you were saying is like, if Disney pumps, then you have Disney stuff. If Spider-Man pumps, you have Spider-Man stuff. So you're always in the green, if that makes sense. You're not like reliant.
Yeah, no matter what happens. Yeah, if Spider-Man goes down 10K, Walt's going to go up 20.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're still up. Yeah, it's definitely like a hard decision to make, but like I don't know, for me right now I'm focusing on more. I watched a video, I forget who it was, he's a YouTuber, but he's talking about, he's like, right now, he'll probably know if he watches this, but he said right now we're in the golden age of buying FAs, and he said it back like a year ago, those people were in the diamond age when they used to go buy all the Tods like us, you know what I mean, for $80. And he makes a good point. He's like, the fact that you could still buy FA stuff is crazy, because there's gonna be a time on this app where there's not much FA characters coming out anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that we can even get FA, and that's why, like, as you know, I'm focusing right now on the Marvel Mighties, and I'm focusing on the little rock guy. Right. And like I searched, so obviously Fantastic Four is a huge group of collectibles, a group of characters, and the Thing is the most popular character out of the whole group, and that one's the most slept on right now. I think it's going for 40 gems.
Right.
So if you stack up on those, like if that goes to $300 and you got them for 40 gems, look at that flip you just made.
Right.
Or you could hold them. Who knows what they'll go to.
And I think that's a good point for all new users coming in too that only have $1,000 to invest. Because like, let's just be real. If I came in right now and I was like, dude, what am I going to get? One Wonder Woman for 2K? Like that's a significant chunk of money that you'd have to throw down just for that. So I agree with you. I'd probably be starting to think like really logically about like, okay, what's a character that even if it's Marvel Mighty, that's an FA that hasn't really popped. Because like you see it in comic books, like you go to a comic book store and it's like they have a first appearance of a name you've never even heard of, and it's like completely speculative. They're like, yeah, that's $1,000 for this first appearance of Gachuku, and you're like,
yeah, you're like, who's Gachuku?
Yeah, exactly. So you're right. You have like actual well-known names on Veve right now that are still like really, really, a good price. But yeah, like I mean, this is bigger than we expected. Man, like to be honest, like I knew this was the vision I had for Veve, but not like this quickly.
Yeah, that's the vision I had for Veve for 3 years from now. Exactly. I didn't, and especially how fast it took off. Like right after Christmas, I think it's because obviously they weren't releasing like new characters coming out and stuff.
Yeah.
But man, after Christmas, I was like, okay, let me hold 5K gems and make some flips. And I realized it was the worst mistake of my life. You know what I mean? I should have bought into stuff because everything just started going up. All of a sudden, Supermans are at 2K. I'm like, okay, they're not going to 4.
Yeah.
Then they're at 4. And I'm like, all right, they're gonna sit there. Then they're at 8. And now I'm like, okay, they're not stopping. You know, they're going from 8, they're gonna go to 30.
Yeah.
So like you said earlier, like it's better off to hold some of your stuff. And that's what I'm really starting to notice now.
Yeah. And the thing that's crazy about all this stuff, man, is like we don't even know what utility's coming. Like, what if we always talk about like Disney World and like maybe our statue being, you know, giving you free tickets and stuff like that, or Spider-Man having exclusive clubs, and you know, there's still so much that's unforeseen. And I'm like, well, what the heck is that going to do if we're already sitting at these price points and we're not even in the metaverse or have utility added? Like, what's another 2 years going to look like from now? So it's like,
holy.
Right. And the weird part to me is like, why aren't they releasing much right now in January? Like I thought, like,
I think it might have something to do with licenses.
Yeah.
It might have something to do with licenses, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because obviously we don't know what it takes to make the NFT and release the NFT. So I think they're definitely like in the works of creating some right now. But yeah, like the black and white series, for example, like that's getting like extremely hyped because they're not releasing anymore. They only released 5 sets so far, and there's 100. You know, so and then people see Todd go up, so like, okay, let me just get in the black and white series like a bit. So they start buying Hulas. Now Hulas is at 700, like a 2017 character at 700, and then you got Mara at 320, and it's like a 1960 something character. You know,
half the mints too.
Half the mint, a third of the mints, bro.
Yeah, there we go.
Hulas is 6,000, or sorry, 16,000.
Yeah.
So just below a third, I think. Hulas at 16,000, and Mara's at 6,888.
But don't you love that about this app? Is that like you can already foresee that like Mara's a winner right there, like just based on that analysis, right? And the second release Aquaman, they're like, guess what? Aquaman. Well, where's Mara? And then boom, 2K right there, right? It's just like,
literally, yeah. You got 6 of them. Now they're at 2K.
Yeah. And
then you could get back into R2D2. Yeah, but what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like another thing I slept on too is ultra rare comic books. So like I'm looking at Daredevil, right? The secret rare of Daredevil, 600 editions, is at like 6K or 5K, and then the ultra rare is at $650 or $550, and it's only got another 400 editions.
I know.
So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like how's that the case right now? Like obviously the name behind is secret rare. Everyone freaks out when it's secret rare and ultra rare, but they're both FA. It's both the first appearance of that comic book. So
I know. I don't know if it's like human psychology or if we just haven't seen the amount of density that we need yet. Like for instance, anything with like secret rare Spider-Man, like for instance, like 1,000 editions is 100K right now, but then the ultra is 10K, and it's like, well, shouldn't the ultra rare be more like 36K because it's like, you know, has 1,400 fewer or more, sorry, than the secret rare Spider-Man, but it's not like that much of a disparity where it should be a $1,000 disparity, in my opinion. But I'm like, if we have, you know, 10 million users in here, then maybe that would be like, you would see that bridge start to close a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think that's actually a smart point, because that's what you could look at with all collectibles. You're like, okay, the people aren't in yet, but as soon as they get in, they're not going to be able to get the secret, so they're going to pay 10K for the ultra and raise the ultra to 30K.
Yeah,
you know, so no, that's smart. But yeah, I think the same with comic books, like they're just slept on. I think as soon as, like you said, more people come in, all the ultra rares are going to be the next thing to buy out, because who's going to spend like 12K or 14K on like a Fantastic Four comic right now when you could get the ultra for 900?
Bro, it's so ridiculous. I know.
Like I just think people won't have enough money to get the secret rare. Obviously, the guys that have the money will get it, but the guys who don't have the money, they're gonna pour into the ultra.
And it's so hard though, don't you think? Like when you're seeing all these prices go up and you're stuck and you don't have enough money to play with, like you're like watching. Like that's what I notice now. Is I'm like, well, I put my money in these 3 areas, but like these 10 things are pumping, and I can't take this out because I'm gonna lose money, or I'm either gonna like, you know what I mean, or I'm gonna miss out on this pump when it does go. And I just find like right now, like it feels like you're trying to like close the lid on a bunch of things, and they keep, you're like, no,
keep jumping out. Yeah. Well, man, the thing I've learned from this so far is that Terry Dodson, for example, when I bought that, I bought it at 2K.
Yeah.
And then everything around, my friends bought Supermans. I bought Terry Dodson. They bought Superman at 2K. And I bought Terry Dodson instead. I could have easily bought Superman, but I was like, okay, it's not going to pump yet. And I'm like, when everything else went up, I'm like, okay, why isn't Terry Dodson pumping? And I was like, don't worry, like it's going to have its time. So I waited. And obviously, like you said, I didn't have the gems to play around with. I was just sitting on Terry Dodson. And everything went up. And then I set a timer for myself for 6 days. And then as soon as the timer went off, Terry Dodson still didn't pump. So I'm like, okay, screw it, I'm gonna sell it. I sell it, 2 hours later, it goes to 4K, it doubles. And man, I literally thought God was against me. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, out of everything, because then I could have flipped that into 2 Ironmans, but instead I bought 1 Ironman.
Yeah,
You know, so I was like this is that's a lesson I learned, that sometimes you just gotta hold, because everything's gonna have its pump.
yeah.
So like, if you don't have enough gems, just wait for that pump for your collectible. Like, the time will come, you know?
It's true. It's true. Like, I had a secret rare Coke globe, right? That I like sold. It's like just like for flipping. And as much as like I know Coke's a massive industry, and I'm like, I know it's gonna pump eventually. It's the first ever really available NFTs to the public that aren't like crazy amounts. I think like the first set 500 million or so, or no, what was it? I forget what it was, but it was like 500,000. That's what it was. But I was like,
there's only 4 or something, right?
yeah, exactly. But I was like, this is the first one. I'm like, it's globes, and I'm like, it just doesn't resonate with me. So I sold it off, and then went and bought a Wonder Woman. As I sold it off, Coke went up another $400, and my Wonder Woman went down. You know what I'm saying?
That's and then now you're gonna do the same thing with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And then when you sell Wonder Woman, now Wonder Woman's gonna pump. So the best thing, like we talked about, is literally to get something that you believe in and that you like.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like it, you're gonna sell it, just like the Coke thing.
Well,
that was to put money in that thing that you like. What are you gonna say?
And that was what I was thinking. So I gave that one to my wife, because I was like, you know, I just threw her a Wonder Woman. I was like, here you go. Like, you just hold it, because I was like, I know I'm gonna like want to trade it again. Like, I know if I have a collection, I'm gonna like sell it off because I'm gonna see something else. So it's like, gotta like at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, it's the 4th biggest superhero in the world. Once China and like Japan come in, I'm gonna be like, damn, like, you know, how come I didn't have more Wonder Womans, right? And so like,
I know,
like it's the patience, and it's also to be like, some of these people are on this app 24/7. Like, I got buddies, like all they do is text me all day, like, dude, did you see the move? And I'm like, they're living off this app, like legitimately.
Yeah, you can actually make money literally to live.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
they are. Like,
Chad, I'll give you an example. My buddy bought a Todd the other night before it did its pump. So he bought it at 8K, but he paid US for it. So he only bought it, I think it was like 5K or something, or 4K. And he got it, and it was an 8K collectible. And so he just bought gems and bought it. The next day, it went up to 13.9K. So we were joking around, because we're like, here this guy is, he took a nap. You know what I mean? He went to sleep for friggin' 9 hours, wakes up an extra $6,000. Bro. Like that feeling, like, man, there's people that work 3 months and they make that money and they're all happy. And this guy went to sleep.
Bro, like, I know. Consider this. Last night I went to bed. Okay.
Yeah, and you dumped 40K.
Secret Rare Spider-Man was 69,000 or 68,000.
Man.
Range Rover. It's $100,000, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a $31,000 jump, or $32,000 jump over the course of one sleep. Like, now I know how Bill Gates feels when he makes like 8 million a night, you know? Like,
he sleeps like a friggin' dream.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. What kind of dreams did you have last night? I'm kidding.
But I was like thinking to myself, like today, I was like, man, some people's salary is 32K.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you made that overnight.
Best kept secret in the world, despite how many people are finding out about it. Like, so this is again where I come back to you, and I'm like, how do I make my collection more valuable with not a ton of money? And that's where I really feel like specializing and going into like one area and being like, here's the year Spider-Man did this, here's this, here's that, here's this comic refraining. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just, the only reason I say Spider-Man is because I would then attenuate my collection around my most expensive NFT, so that like complement it. But again, then it's like, are you going to give up like Disney? Are you going to give up DC? Are you going to give up everything else? No, that's where it's
that's the problem,
right?
That's the biggest issue, because especially Walt, like, as we both know, and you're the one that told me this, Walt has the most money poured into it out of any collectible. The market cap, if everyone was to sell, would be like, what was it, 140 million or something?
140 million. Yeah, and I mean, I could see that being $1 billion evaluation for that one NFT potentially, right?
Exactly.
So another, you know, almost a 10x from this point. So that'd be like a 250K NFT potentially.
Well, the thing is too, like, it's not even an FA, like, it's a double FA in one.
Yeah.
It's Mickey Mouse, the most famous Disney character, and then it's Walt Disney, the guy who created everything, in one collectible, and it's gold. You know what I mean? So
I know.
Like, I would hate for you to sell off one of those and then get into all these Mickeys, and then Walt pumps to 100K. Or sorry, not get into the Mickeys, get into the Spider-Mans, and then Walt goes to 100K.
Yeah. But do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like for the average person now, like, he's saying, listen, you need to like focus on what you like, because you can't have it all. And like,
for sure,
I'm realizing is like, I can't be mad now when something I don't have pumps,
Yeah.
because
You can't get in everything.
exactly, like, because you got to be grateful for what you have, but it is difficult.
sure.
Like, man, you know, you and I had this crazy opportunity to like, have more leverage,
Mhm.
but at the same time, dude, like, it's not as if we didn't invest a lot of money into this. Like, it's not like we just like, we're like, oh yeah, you know, we did give it a pretty calculated risk tolerance, you know?
Yeah, well, I was talking to my friends too. Like back in the day, man, it wasn't like it is now. Like there was no market. We bought Todd's and they sat there,
Mm.
you know. And like you're talking on Telegram, nobody even believes in Todd. And like imagine imagine this app was never a thing to all the people out there right now.
Mm.
You would never just throw $90 or what was it, Canadian, 116 or something. It was $80 American, 116 Canadian of our dollars, or $96, something like that.
Yeah.
But you would never just throw it into a picture, because that's all it was at the time.
Yeah.
It was
like,
a revolving
NFTs were
picture.
formalizing more, like people didn't believe in them as much. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't even connected. We didn't even know that this was going to connect with Ethereum or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so like the belief, it was hard to believe in the project. Like it wasn't hard to believe in the project, but FA back then, FA Batman didn't mean what it meant now. Like it wasn't like, holy, this is the first appearance of Batman NFT version. Like we knew that's what it was, but it didn't seem like that.
But you and I made that a thing. Like, I swear to you,
Yeah,
like,
we talked about that crazy.
we definitely, like, I swear people said they joined, like Comics and Crypto, like Sean always tells me he joined because I said this is the first appearance ever in digital format of this NFT, and like that's going to be huge. And so, you know, just crazy to think that like you and I might have had an actual influence. I mean, you know, I don't know how big it would have been, but even if it was like 1% influence, you know, on like what people's thinking were around these NFTs is pretty remarkable, especially around the
For sure. Yeah.
You know, but dude, you know what's a big sleeper right now? Is Joker, I would say.
Yeah, based off of Todd going up and everything. He's literally like Todd's biggest or Batman's biggest rival.
And the one thing I'm realizing now is like if it doesn't pump, good.
Chill on it.
Chill on it. Because we know
more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I was like thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, they just came out with that massive movie of Joker, grossed over like $1 billion or whatever it was.
Well, they got that new Batman movie coming too with what's his name from Twilight.
Yeah, I forget his name, but yeah, I forget his name. But yeah, you're
right.
Edward
in the show, but
yeah. Why am I forgetting his name? This is bad.
Damn, I don't even know. It doesn't even matter though. But everyone knows, I'm sure, because that's what Batman we're talking about.
But yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of things that haven't pumped yet. Like, it seems like it's a little lopsided right now. Even like Nightwing, right? I was at the comic book shop the other day, and Nightwing has its like own major section. Like, it's not as if it's like some no-name character either. Like, I know it's not like a, you know, Superman or Batman, but I'm like, it's still significant enough. And at those mints, 1750,
low.
It's low, right? And that's what people are like. I think like this is gonna twist back, because remember when you and I were always looking into scarcity when we first joined. So that was how it worked back then. Like, scarcity is what would be expensive, and the popular stuff didn't matter because there wasn't enough demand in the app. There wasn't enough users. And now we're seeing the inverse, where popular stuff is like what's taking the cake, and the scarce stuff is cool and it still holds value, but it's not, it doesn't have the same demand. Yeah. And I'm like, what if all of a sudden it turns back again when, like, you know, like Nightwing does go for $21,000 because there's only 1750. Like, maybe when 10 million people are on the app, like maybe Batman's 80K, but Nightwing's probably going to be like maybe 25, let's say, right?
Yeah, like I know what you're saying. If you can't get into a Todd right now, a Batman, don't even chase that. Just go into like a Nightwing, or even a Robin, FA Robin. Like the first appearance of Robin, and it's only, I think it's like 3.4K or something. Like obviously it's a lot, but like for what it could be, that's nothing.
It's nothing. And that's where my head's at now. It's like, okay, like what we noticed was a perfect example. Is like we would chase stuff back in the day, or at least I would, and then I'd get that thing, and then I'd forget that the stuff that it held would actually go up more in value in terms of the ROI. Right?
Well, I literally just noticed that. So I bought a bunch of Hulafs at $120, and I said, okay, this is FA. I was like, it's the Batman and the Joker mix. I was like, let me buy 12, and I'm gonna hold them. Hulafs went to 220. I was like, perfect. I just made a sick profit. Let me pull out. 2 days goes by. Hulafs go to 700. And I'm like, man, if I literally would have held that for 2 days, I literally would have had like $8,000 or something, or 8,700. And I could have went and bought so much. I could have got back into another Superman.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I'm expecting to do with like a lot of collectibles that I have right now that are slept on. But like pretty much half the app slept on. You could buy any superhero FA right now that's low in price, and it's going to go up.
But that's insane to think that like you were sitting on that, right? And that's exactly my point. Like when you just,
Mhm.
and the hard part is another example is like I've got the Secret of Spider-Man and I was looking at the Marvel 1 SR today and I was
Yeah,
like, man, it's 50K, right? But I bet you if it was 110K, it'd be like, how do I trade for it? How
yeah,
do
you
I
really get that.
how do I sell this off, sell something off? But because it's low, I'm like, oh well, maybe people don't believe in it as much. But I'm like, this could be the only opportunity I ever have to get a Marvel 1 SR,
Yeah, it could be.
right? And maybe I
Mhm.
get, and I can almost get two. If the, I mean, obviously I don't think Secret Rare Spider-Man is going to sell at 100K. It could, but I'm
Yeah,
just, you can literally get two of those for the price of one right now. And back in the day, that one was always more expensive than Secret Rare Spider-Man. But this is again
yeah,
where popularity and scarcity are now coming together to like as like, you know, Marvel 1 SR was beating Secret Rare Spider-Man because it was more scarce. But now
hmm
Spider-Man almost seems like it's beating it because it's got like that popularity factor too. Plus
yeah.
the scarcity. It's crazy, right? Like
It
it's
is great.
crazy how things are evolving here.
Well, man, like we always talk about this every day. We call for the people that are watching right now. Every day, probably like every like random time that Chad thinks of something, and every random time I think of something, we just call. We're like,
Yeah.
yo, like think about this, da, 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 da. And I think like right now it's too late to get into the first wave of things. So the first wave, so Walt Disney,
Yeah.
Secret Spider-Man, the stuff you have pretty much, the big time grails. So now the second wave of stuff's gonna go up. C3PO, R2D2, Iron Man, Nightwing, Robin, Joker, Harley Quinn, you know, all that stuff, all the
It's
FAs.
the second wave.
And
But
then
then those second waves will hit the first wave, like
yeah,
where I'm at now. Like if you're in
exactly.
that second wave for whoever, then they'll get to where we're at. Do you see what I mean?
Exactly. And then third wave, same thing's gonna happen. That's when the Marvel Mighties are gonna start pumping.
Yeah.
You know, that's when the first appearance of the Rock, the first appearance of Human Torch, the Mr. Doctor Doom, all that stuff. Doctor Doom, it's already, I think it's already at like $1,000.
Crazy.
But I mean, that one's probably gonna go to like $4,000 in the next like month. And
Yeah.
the more people that pour in. So like literally if you guys like believe in something, just like buy it and just sit on it. And like that's like yeah, like going back to my point with Ulas, like I believed in it, but I just pulled out too early.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I've been doing that as Chad knows. I call him and I'm pissed because I'm like, bro, I just sold this and it just pumped an extra 3K. I'm like, what's going on with me, man? Like, you know, I'm on the ass of every collectible, but I just can't get it.
Yeah, it's not easy. The hardest part is having the patience. So like one of my good friends on this, he's probably the smartest guy I know on this.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought like a ton of snow globes, like the common snow globes, because he saw some
Mm-hmm.
sell walls happening where people had it up for like 169.99, like 10 of them. So he kept buying under. And he's like, man, this is like a springed coil, like it's gonna pop eventually. And then boom,
Yeah.
like 50 of them. And then now they like just doubled. And he's like,
Yeah.
perfect, I'll sell a few off, right? And it's like the thing is like everything else was pumping while he was collecting those. And so he
Yeah.
had the discipline to be like, okay, I don't care. Like, okay, this did a 3x, this did a 4x. Well, sorry, that wasn't your party. Like you didn't
Mm-hmm.
know about that or you didn't expect it. So he's like, focus on what you can control and get into something that you believe in. And like, boom, that's a perfect example, right? And it's like right now you're talking about Mira, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Mira to me is one that will pop. It might not be tomorrow, it might not be next week. It might be like, you know, might never really pop to the extent we think. But if you believe in it, like make that play, but don't divert course before you reach. It's like reminds me of somebody that's at sea. Arnold Schwarzenegger said this quote: "You're at sea and you're
Yeah.
in the lighthouse." And he's like, if you just stick to the lighthouse plan and you're going towards it, like you'll make it. But he's like, if you're changing your plan all the time, you're just gonna be lost at sea because you're never gonna have
Yeah.
direction. So it's like you gotta like. It reminds me of like Silicon Secure. He went and bought up Todd's, bro, when everything
Mm-hmm.
else was pumping. Like he didn't even buy a Secret Rare Spider-Man at 1.6 because he's like, my ROI on Todd will probably be better at $300-400. You
Yeah.
know, which
Yeah.
is, I don't know, probably be about the same. But my point is like that was his conviction, and he stayed with it. And like he didn't care about like the shiny object or what was going to give him clout. He's like, I
Mm-hmm.
care about money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's, to be honest, like there's obviously big time collectors. Like look at the guys that collect the comic books in real life, you know, and
Yeah,
all these statues and stuff. But I think a lot of people are in it for the money, you know,
exactly.
and they want it. They want to hold a $40,000 collectible. NFTs is the new thing. It's going to be the new flex in the future. It's going to be like owning like a Corvette, you know.
Dude, it already
So I
is.
think, yeah, it's even more than that. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, literally. Well, your Secret Rare Spider-Man's like holding a little house right there. If you go to Nova Scotia, where I just came from, you know, you could pretty much buy one. So with a Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's so weird, bro. It's like it doesn't even make sense.
Nuts, man. It's nuts.
Yeah, but you know what was an interesting video that came out recently was Taps Trades came out and he said that
Mhm.
right now, our NFT platform is the third biggest NFT platform in the world. So it's
Yeah,
like
that's great.
$1.5 billion market cap for all of the NFTs combined.
If they were to sell at that though, right?
Exactly. Like that was like probably the floor cost, I would say,
Yeah.
times like the amount of additions on every single collectible.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we're just getting started here. So it's very likely that Veve will be the #1 NFT platform in the world.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so
the funny part is, you know, back in the day, if we would have said that, like that's the thing. Back in the day, if we would have said that, like, oh man, like yeah, like you're right, but in the back of your head, you're like, there's no way.
there's no
And
way.
now, like back in the day when we were like, yeah, Todd's might be 100K. I think we even said that. That was probably our first video.
Yeah, it was
way back. I don't even know if that's posted anymore. It was like blurry, and then you know what I mean. We're in the basement at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
But we were talking about, we're like, yeah, Todd could be 100K, and back then it was almost like a joke to say that.
I know.
You know, and nobody believes in that. And now it's like Todd's not going to be 100K. He's going to be 300K.
Yeah.
It's like it's going to supersede what we thought. So, yeah, like this platform is going to get crazy really quick.
It already is. And the funny part is like all the doubters. Like I don't forget when I bought the Secret Rare Spider-Man for 17,000. I went on to Spaces after, and so a few guys were like, "Dude, that was such a stupid move." Like not like they were talking about me, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, and people were messaging me, being like, laughing at me, being like, and then other people thought everything was gonna freeze over. And I was like, man, from what I'm now understanding and seeing the type of people that are joining, like I think this is gonna be $1 million NFT. And like now at $100,000, like it already did 100x from where you and I remember it at like 1.6K.
Yeah.
So what's a 10x from here without really any celebrities or anybody major getting involved, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like look at Bored Ape Yacht Club and Cyberpunks. I think that's what it's called, Cyberpunks or something. On OpenSea, those NFTs.
Yeah,
you know. So CryptoPunks, that's what it is. So look at all those like things that aren't worth anything. Like it was some guy that made them up, you know, like they don't have big licenses behind them like we're seeing right now. Like you right now have Marvel's biggest character of all time, and you have the first appearance of it, and there's only 1,000 in the entire world.
Yeah, exactly. That's
like
why
there's only 1,000 people that are gonna,
like you said, that's why there's that type of demand, right?
Man, it's insane, and like the demand is gonna be even higher.
Yeah,
this is gonna be of the future. This is gonna be the most sought after Marvel character of all time.
Yeah,
you know, as long as it keeps going the way it should. And if like NFTs keep growing like they are, especially like I think you showed me what the Apple headset the other day.
Yeah,
that's like AR and VR. Like man, if that's a thing and we're walking around with glasses or something that does that, like imagine walking down the street and this guy, he looks like he only has $400 on him, you know, and then you put on the glasses, all of a sudden you realize this guy's dressed in full Gucci. Dude, and he's one of the biggest millionaire cryptos, and you're like, what the heck's going on with this guy, you know? Like people are gonna be hidden flexing like that.
You know what's crazy to me is like how well some of these people that I know have done. Like one guy I know, he's got like I think 2,800 NFTs or something, and he was like just convicted since the beginning. And he's not. I don't think he's like a millionaire beforehand. Like I think he put in a pretty good sum of money, but I don't think it was like insane. Probably like 20K, let's just say. He's probably sitting on like at least a few $1 million, right? And that's and things are just starting now, right? Things are just happening. So it's like it goes to show you. Even if you're taking like a calculated risk, like 20K that you're going to lose from it, like I should have went more all in. Like I think we put in 3K or something. I put in 3K. I don't even think you put in that much. But I'm like, man, if I would have looked back, I would have just been like, screw it. I'm just going to like take out a line of credit and use savings and all this other stuff and just go to town, you know?
Well, the hardest part is like I know a lot of people that, for example, they get a drop and they need the money.
Yeah.
You know, so they get the drop, they sell it for 1,000 gems. They need that money in real life. So they can't screw around with that money now. You know, so it's like people like that, it's hard for them. And it was hard for me at the time because I didn't have that much money to put into it.
Right.
So like obviously I could have done amazing with what I put in, you know, for given the time that we were on the app. But I think there's a lot of people that can't put money into it right now that are like pretty like struggling because they get a drop, they want to take it out right away. But like a lot of people also don't realize that 1,000 gems could make you 30K in 2 weeks. Like with your flip there. Talk about your flip with the 2K on Disney drop.
Yeah, it was the luckiest I ever did. 2K from a Mickey hat to number 43. Turned that into like just over 10. And then I ended up buying I think it was like a 78 Elsa, which I traded for a partner. And then I got a 122 partner, which I sold off for 24K, and then bought a Secret Rare Spider-Man and a Todd. So with all that money, with 2K invested from a lucky week, it turned into now 113,000 just for that excess that I've had.
That's what I'm saying. So like, I think a lot of people don't realize that those 1,000 gems that you just took out literally could have changed your life.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but instead you took it out, and like sometimes they need it, which is the problem. But I mean, if you don't need that, don't take it out. And
Yeah.
like I made that biggest mistake before. I sold a number 58 Secret Rare Spider-Man for $3,000 American back in the day. Probably the biggest mistake of my life. That same collectible will probably be 150 grand right now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because I didn't even need the money. It's like, let me take it out. But if you don't need it, do not take the gems out, because it's so stupid.
I know. Yeah, I feel for you, bro. I think about that all the time. You know.
But yeah, I feel for myself. But I mean, what can you do? You know what I mean? What am I gonna do? Regret it the rest of my life?
The thing is like now, like if there's a future opportunity, like it might not be NFTs, but it might be like some kind of metaverse project or something you believe in and you go in early. It's like, you know, stay convicted on it, right? And like that's one thing even for me. Like I remember I chased Scarcity back in the day. I ended up selling a ton of Todds to go get that golden Moogly. Remember? I got the golden Moogly and I got like the Rizzo and all these other like flex pieces back in the day, not realizing that like what I sold off would have been like 10x what I actually bought.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's why I think still like we talked about earlier with the first, second, and third wave, Todd's a holy grail right now. You know, Walt Disney statues are a grail. But all these stuff on the upcomings, they're all gonna be grails.
You're right. Like Joker will be a grail for most people, like for a lot of people in the future at 7,500, right?
Like imagine DC, massive DC collectors. Joker's like the second biggest thing in DC pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, people are gonna be freaking about Joker. And then along with Joker, once Joker gets bumped, then Harley Quinn, that's his girlfriend, that gets bumped.
Yeah.
You know, and if Joker gets pumped, Robin gets pumped, or like vice versa.
Yeah.
So all these big pieces right now are gonna be a grail. So to be honest, like we said, you can buy into any superhero FA and it's gonna go up.
Yeah. And I think the big thing that you're saying too is like, despite Pokemon coming on the way. So here's an interesting analysis on Pokemon. You want to know?
Yeah.
I think with Pokemon, there's going to be such a massive gem squeeze that people are just going to off things like their grails before they release the edition sizes. So I feel like people are going to announce, like, I mean, we still don't know if they have Pokemon, but let's just hypothetically say, I think it's likely. What's going to happen is that people are probably going to be like, oh, I'm going to sell off all these grails for like, 30 to 50% discounts.
Yeah.
And then everything's going to tank. And at that point, I'm going to go buy all that stuff up. And here's my reasoning is that there's so much money in the app now that on a significant drop like that, first of all, you won't land it on the drop likely unless like they have a master collector program out. So you're not going to land it on the drop. And the second thing is that the secondary is going to be so dense that like you're going to have like tens of thousands of dollars like just sitting there in everybody's accounts. So when Pikachu comes out, even if it has like 80,000 editions, it's going to have like a floor of like 4K. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so meanwhile, all those other grails are going to be cheap because people would have sold it off for Pokemon. So I have this weird theory that people are going to like inflate the crap out of Pokemon. And then once they realize like, oh my God, like there's 80,000 mints of Pikachu, but only 8,888 is Superman, I'm going to now go sell off these Pikachus and go back into Superman. And then it's going to like inverse and the old grails are going to go like up exponentially. Yeah.
Well, we noticed that with the Mickey drop. You know, Mickey did that thing. It was at 4K because that's selling feature or whatever. Remember, you couldn't sell when you got it or something. And then the next morning, the Ultra jumped to 20 or went down to 2,300. Everybody sold off all this stuff. So I think Todd's were at 5K, Rizzo's were at 5K. I remember Iron Man's were at $600 because I was gonna go buy like 10 of them, and instead I threw my money into Mickey, which it wouldn't have been a bad move because Mickey's at like 9K right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you would have threw 5K into Todd or even Rizzo pumped to 20 right after.
Yeah.
And that's because all these people sold off, like you said, and then everyone realized, whoa, there's 7,000 editions of Mickey. And like you said, if they release Pokemon, it's gonna be even more like editions. There's probably of the Ultra, it's gonna be like a 30,000 editions, like secret rare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're gonna be like, okay, like obviously it's gonna go up because it's first Pokemon, but it's not gonna be like as big as we think. I think so. Unless, bro, they could do it. Who knows what they're gonna do? Because sometimes, like, look at the comic book they released with 1,000 editions. You know, so they come out with like Olsen Charizard is the first appearance of Charizard, and they have just like your Spider-Man. There's a secret rare, ultra rare, because they keep doing that with the Marvel characters right now.
Dude, if they make 1,000 edition Charizard, that will be $1 million NFT.
Yeah, that to be honest, I think that'd be the biggest on the app.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it would be for sure. I think like just given the hype. I mean, you saw what was his name, Logan Paul. He just he bought like $3.5 million worth of fake Pokemon cards or something. He made a YouTube video on it.
I saw that poor guy, man. It was GI Joe packs when he opened it.
Exactly. So my point is like, what the heck is he going to pay on an actual Charizard NFT that's timeless, that's immortalized forever? I mean, this guy's going to pay minimum 3 million on it, right? I mean, if he's going to go buy fake Pokemon cards, not even like see the extent of what's in that box for 3.5, what is he going to pay for the first ever NFT of Charizard that will last
for sure? And it's funny because I think who was it? Somebody told me Shaquille O'Neal. It might have been you, or somebody told me Shaquille O'Neal tweeted Disney Golden Moments or something.
No, I think it was Shaquille O'Neal tweeted "Good morning, GM," and then I tweeted it and I said, "Did you mean Disney Golden Moments?"
Oh, that's funny.
And then everyone was freaking out.
It was
like,
Golden
no way.
Good morning, Golden Moments.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny. Yeah, that's like, what'd you say?
There's a few people I think are starting to take notice now.
Well, yeah, like even your friend Lewis Morgan, I'm sure he's telling some friends, and I heard even Gary Vee talk about this. Gary Vee is obviously the biggest crypto guy, or biggest NFT guy, and he talked about this, and he's like, "Oh, Vee, yeah, like I understand it, but I haven't really looked into it or something." And I'm like, man, Gary Vee, like you're literally the biggest guy about crypto, and this is licensed NFTs by Marvel, as if you haven't looked into that.
I know.
Like, man, there's probably a Gary Vee account out there right now, and his name's like Chimby or something.
Dude,
he's got 10,000 collectibles.
He's probably accumulating thousands of NFTs in the background. He's probably like, oh yeah, this Veve stuff, it's not good. And he's like, friggin' buy now. He's like hitting
it's buy now. He sees Maras, they're low. He's buying everything.
Probably got a whole team that are just like bots, probably, or like just trying to land drops from. Like, okay, you guys, your purpose today is to land the drop,
Yeah, like this guy, he's all about making money like that. So why would he not? And if NFTs are this big, and Veve is the third biggest platform, everybody knows about this. It's just hidden because as soon as celebrities know that they say something, like imagine, like if Gary Vee says, "Just so you guys know, I got all these Veve collectibles," holy crap, man. Veve would just go nuts. Like Todd's would be out. You wouldn't be able to even get close to one.
I know.
So he's definitely, I think he's on it. And I think there's a bunch of big people on it, but we just don't know yet. They're not releasing that.
So Johnny Dunn said the other day, he tweeted Gary Vee's thing where Gary Vee's like, okay, with NBA Top Shots, it's not like all these individual players are going to still hold value in the long term. It's just going to be like big players like LeBron James or whatever, or Michael Jordan, stuff like that. And then he's like, we're not talking about Superman or Batman here. And then I was like, that's hilarious because here we have the first licensed NFTs, the first appearances. And, he's like, bro, like just consider that. Like the first appearance of Batman in comic book format goes for like over $1 million, right? For like a grade. And here we are sitting with only 7,500 editions ever. And we're considering blockchain to be the future of like human civilization forever. I mean, because even if it's like, let's say goes to the block and there's a new technology in 25 years, it'd probably be transitioned to another new advanced technology. But I think it would still remain like that data encrypted thing. You know what I mean?
For sure. And like we know, okay, so there's a use case obviously behind the collectibles that we have. You know what I mean? Like look at the James Bond ticket. Whoever had that went to the movies. These big licenses can do stuff like that. So, and man, a licensed collectible to me plus NFT format, and there's only like your Spider-Man, only 1,000 in the world FA, and it's licensed by Marvel. Like Marvel has the rights to it. Like, man, that's gonna be so big. Like there's no way, man. Gary Vee just like somebody told him about Veve and he threw that to the side. And he's like, oh yeah, Veve. You know what I mean? Like, how he's making recur?
Yeah.
Where the hell do you think he got the idea from?
For sure.
That's how you know he's been on this app. Probably for like 6 months. This guy probably got on the app when we got on the app.
I know.
So come on, like he definitely knows about it, and he definitely has collectibles within it. But I feel like if he talks too early, this stuff's gonna get way too overhyped. So
yeah, and I mean, the one thing that's amazing too to me is like 99% of NFTs will fail, and I do believe in that. I do not believe that licensed NFTs, especially the first ever ones, could fail because it wouldn't make any sense. That's how do you get any more significant in terms of data encryption? Like here's one thing, like this is why Secret Rare Spider-Man could be so massive. It's technically still under the umbrella of Disney, so it could be Disney's first NFT depending on how you look at it. First Marvel NFT. Spider-Man, most popular superhero in 58 countries. Like you said, 1,000 editions, secret rare, animated. Like came out in 2021, which in time will be older. Like it'll be just like there's so many like catalysts for it, right? And man, like I don't know, like I just find like now what we had and what we envisioned back in the day was so possible, but without all that different, without all these people like supporting that vision and that dream, it's so difficult to stay convicted on your own, especially when so much FUD. Do you remember how many people were
well, our neighbor,
like
he just said he thought it was a joke. It's like, that's a scam, like get out of that.
He's like, it's a
and like now look what it is. Like you got $100,000 collectible sitting here, like there's a new house kind of right there.
And I remember like dad would always be like, you guys gonna go play with your little critters, and like you know I say like so many people just thought it was a big joke, right? And
well, to be honest though, think about it from their perspective. They've worked so hard for money, you know what I mean, and they're working every day in and out. So for them to see this little blown up picture of a collectible, they're like, what the hell is going on? There's no way you're gonna make $100,000 from that. But they don't realize like what it is within the picture. Like if back in the day, if you would have told me that a charizard, a piece of cardboard, is going to be worth over $1 million, like a significant grade, like a 10 first edition shadowless charizard, if you'd have said that piece of cardboard is going to be worth like 150 to $1 million, who would have knew that? Like who would have believed you right there? They would have been like, that's a piece of cardboard, that's not going there. You know, so it's the same thing right now with these NFTs.
You're right, man. And it's like makes me wonder though, like why people are so like why they refrain so much for something that's so new. Like I mean, I think like Bitcoin is a perfect example of that. Like everyone didn't believe in Bitcoin. It was like this digital thing, and then now you see a Bitcoin at like 50K for one, and it's like the same philosophy with NFTs, except just like more of like an actual collectible or something to that effect. And it's like still that type of hesitation. I'm like, man, like I asked you, like I said, literally put down $80. Remember I called everybody up for Todd's? I called up everyone, all my friends, like, and only a few people listened. I was like, just put down $80. Like it will be a dinner out at like for faux. Like it won't even be like it would be like McDonald's twice a week. Like just put down $80, man. Like you're making good money. Just do it. And now that Todd is like at 13K, and it's just beginning. Like it's gonna go to probably 100,000, right? So I just don't understand like people don't like, especially if you believe in your friend, like just bro, like I could have made you 10 grand. Like I don't understand how.
Literally just listen, just for an $80 risk, who gives a
that's insane.
But who cares, you know? And like that's like my friend Austin, when we got in this, I told him to buy a Todd. I told him to buy 2 Joe Maduros. I think that's what he has now, 2 Joe Maduros and a Todd, and a Joker. He has all of them. And I told him to buy a Todd, and he already bought Joker and 2 Joe Maduros or something. And he was on his way back from practice, and this is one of my friends I met in America when I used to live in America. And he's driving back from practice, and I go, man, Todds are about to sell out. I said, go buy one right now. He's like, oh yeah, I will. I called him. I was like, bro, you better buy it. And he bought it, and it was number like 7,400 or something. Like he just got in. And he's like, okay, man, like I bought it, you know? And I was like, okay. I was like, just hold that now. And it's funny because this guy turned off the app and just focused on soccer, you know, like what we do. And now his Todd, that $80 investment is 13,000. And every time I text him, I'm like, bro, Todd went up $1,000. He's like, nice. He's like, I'm gonna hold it for another 3 years. You know, and it's funny because like all he did was put in $80, and here I am, friggin', I put in all this like money and time, and he's even higher than me right now, you know, and I'm here like trading collectibles. So
you'll get back.
I'm just like, oh no, I know I'll get back easy, to be honest. Probably take me 2 weeks, but it's just funny. Like I was dying. I was like, but it's good. And even this girl I used to talk to, Olivia, same thing. I told her to buy a Todd. It's 13 grand now, and we don't even talk anymore. And I just text her, and I'm just like, yo, your Todd's at 13 grand. She's like, oh, nice, thanks. You know, like
I know.
So, but it's funny because I also had like really good friends that didn't even give a crap. Like I had friends, I'd post this when we first got in this. I posted on Instagram. I posted Todd, and it was like revolving. I took a video and I put it, and I said like, I was like, people don't know what this is. Like, show off. You know what I mean? And all my friends were like, the heck is that? And I was like, Todd, buy one. None of them bought one. And those are like my good friends from here. And now they're all like, bro, you still in Veve? I'm like, yeah, man. Like, you guys missed out on a massive opportunity.
Opportunity of a lifetime. Like, think about it. If you took what we were saying seriously, and you're like, you know what, Chad? Like, I not only will I buy one, because I believe in you, it's a small risk for me. I'll buy 3 or 4. You'd be sitting at like, you definitely have $100,000 minimum by the end of 2022.
Yeah, well, Yeah, like that's probably, to be honest, that's probably the best investment that I like pretty much know of. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Other than Shiba Inu, and that guy put 8,000 in, and then it's $5 billion a year later. But that's besides the point. That's like the biggest. Like that was a risk. Like that was stupid. Like I don't even know how he did that. You know what I mean? But it's not stupid because I obviously made that much money. But like this had a use case behind it. Like we knew the use case, and we used to talk about that. Like you said, like it's all about staying convicted. So I don't know. Like in my
the
yeah.
DeLorean drop. You remember that?
Oh my god, that was so funny.
Okay, so the DeLorean drop, because it had 60,000 editions back in the day, people were laughing so much about like something that had such a high mint run.
Yeah.
There was memes about like throwing your DeLorean in the trash because it just had way too many edition size numbers. And I remember you and I talked and we're like, man, if Vive's releasing 60,000 editions of something, where the heck are we going to go? Like they must have understand something that we don't.
Yeah.
And here we are now, where like an ultra rare is going for like 1.4K. Back in the day, it was like $200.
Yeah, not even like 180.
Yeah.
Like I think Supergirl was at like 150. Marrow was at like 40. Like some of this stuff was literally going below like what you bought it for.
Yeah, a lot of it was.
Yeah, like Who Laughs, Batman Who Laughs, when that came out, that was going for like 28 gems was the lowest I saw, and you bought it for 40. If you got Who Laughs, you're like, no, you know, and now it's $700.
No way. Yeah.
But that's because they didn't have the FA back then too, remember?
True.
So when it came out, it didn't have FA, and then out of nowhere, they put FA on that and the Kid Robin.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they put FA on it, it didn't skyrocket. It went to $80, you know, and it's at $80. But now it's at 700. So it's funny. It's funny how fast things change.
I know. To be fair, man, I am hoping for a bit of a pullback. I know that sounds a little crazy, but like if the Secret Spider-Man drops back down to like 60, 70 for the interim, like I'd be happy because there's still some things I'd like to accumulate. It's hard now just having to watch everything fly. Like it's like, okay, so you're done now. Cause you know, imagine joining now, what kind of uphill battle that would be, bro. Like you'd be like, if you put in $1,000, what would you get? You get like a Mara, a few comic books, and like a few Marvel Mighties, and call it a day. Like, I mean,
yeah, but to be honest, like I think that's most people right now, and I think that's why a lot of people watch these videos too, is because they're thinking about the new thing to get in on, you know. So like we're talking about, big ones are like Mara, like the Thing, like all these ultra rare comics, even some of the common comics.
I know.
You know, there's even my buddy was talking to me the other day about the Voltron set. You know, and look at Ultraman. We saw Ultraman like 2 weeks ago or something. Ultraman Ace was at like 289. Now he's like 2.3K.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there's still a lot of stuff that, like, the hard part is when you don't see value behind it, or when there is no value behind a collectible. So like, for example, the Thing right now, it's 50 gems, I think. You're like, it's not worth anything because right now it's only at 50 gems. And then as soon as it goes to 200, you're like, holy, it's worth $200. And then it goes to $1,000. You're like, that's $1,000 collectible. Yeah. But when it was at $40, you didn't believe in that.
Right. And it's
because you did it before.
And that's the same thing that we've experienced over and over and over. Like Superman was 119 gems when it solidified. Like when it first came out, it was $75. And then I put out a video basically being like, Superman's going for 90 gems in the aftermarket. Like, get on these, you idiots. And then everyone was like, oh, let's pump this. And then it went to like 120. And now just there. We're like, woof.
Yeah, we're
like
120. We're like, we're making gems.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
When now the smartest thing would have been like, all right, Carson, like let's go and buy, you know, as many as we can possibly get our hands on. Right.
Literally, let's buy up to 8,888 that are there.
Yeah. Like we could have bought, how much we could have bought now? You could have bought 50 for $5,000. Right.
Yeah. Well, the biggest mistake, not even the biggest mistake, but when I bought that Secret Rare Spider-Man at the time, I bought a number 58 or whatever, and I bought a few of them, but I bought 58.
Yeah.
The craziest thing I think about is I could have bought a bunch of different stuff. Like I could have Superman's, I think, were $300, and I had 10,000 sitting there.
Yeah.
You know, I could have went all in on Superman. I could have went all in on Todd. Like I could have went all in on Joker. Joker was probably at like 160 at the time.
Yeah. Like
there was so much stuff that I just could have went all in on, and then I don't know if I would have been better off, but like it would have been the same play. So like we're talking about right now, like there's so much stuff right now that's FA, that's even Zombie Hunter Spider-Man we were talking about. Like that Spider-Man, I think it's supposed to be the rendition of Tom Holland, the new Spider-Man. Right. And it's got Doctor Strange's cape on his back. So I think that's what it is. Not 1,000,000% sure. Don't quote me on that, but
Bro,
there's
but you're
stuff like
right,
that.
man. Like that one was a good one, right? And the other thing too was one thing I wanted to talk about was that major pump we saw in comics way back in the day. So when the secret rare
Yeah,
comics first came out, like Marvel comic #1 was 50K when secret rare Spider-Man was like 8 or 9K.
yeah,
And Todd
yeah.
was like under like 500. It wasn't that. It was like maybe $1,000 or something like that. But my point is like instead of chasing the major pumps, you
Hmm.
could have been just like investing into all these other things that didn't fly. Because when you do the math on stuff, like that's why I think like Secret Rare Spider-Man will be the #1, because when I look at all the catalysts for it, scarcity, all these different things,
Hmm.
The only thing I don't like about Secret Rare Spider-Man is that it's diversified over 50 or 60,000 editions. So it's almost like that's all FA, as like Walt and Mickey is like just 4,333. Like if you don't have that, you don't really have a rendition of that, right?
Okay, that's a huge point you made there. I actually want to talk about that today, but
Yeah.
I literally, good thing you brought that up. So Mara, Superman, Supergirl, Who Laughs Batman, all these characters, there's only one of them right now, and there's only one of the FA like you're talking about. With the Spider-Man set, there's all these FAs. You know what I mean? So you could get an FA, like like a common FA, and it will still be the first appearance of Spider-Man. So it will still be worth a lot.
Right.
But if you look at Batman, there's only one. You know?
Exactly.
So at that's it. Like that's an interesting point. I want to talk about that because
Yeah.
like man,
It
sorry, go
is an
ahead.
interesting one, right? Because if it was like 1,000 Spider-Man's FA,
Holy, that would be way more.
yeah, I don't even know what you'd be looking at. But I mean,
Yeah.
like, it is interesting to think about because it is diluted across all those different editions,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's why I like think about something like a Nightwing.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the black and white series, it's only the one. Like it's only one of them, right?
Yeah,
And I'm
in the
like,
whole series.
exactly. But as much as Nightwing's not like a crazy popular character, anybody that does like it, you're limited to 1750. That's it. That's all. You get in, you get out
The world.
in the world. So
Yeah.
like, holding a Nightwing in the future may actually be an impressive feat. Like it might be a $25,000 NFT where you'd be like, yeah, I'm holding a Nightwing. People are like, holy crap. Like you'd put that in your bio. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're like, where'd you get that? What the heck? Like, I can't believe you're on the app at that time. You could buy those.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Right. We just gotta keep like looking, like you keep talking about these waves. And I'm like, man, there's gonna be this wave and then the next wave and the next wave. And it's like, by the end of it, people aren't gonna be getting any more FAs. They're gonna be like, we're dropping the FA of Jabba the Hutt. And people could be like, no way.
Yeah, Jabba Hutt. And they go hard.
Exactly. Yeah. There'll be 82,000 ultra rares, 100,000 commons. Yeah.
Literally. And like the funny part, that's actually what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like that's not unrealistic. That's pretty realistic right there. Like there's gonna be a time, like like that video I watched. I wish I knew the guy's name. I think he's a newer YouTuber. And I was just working out and I just watched it. But like you said, like we're in the golden age. Like the fact that FAs, you could even buy FA stuff. Like you talked about with comics. Like for a random FA character, it's like $2,000.
Yeah.
So the fact that we can even get our hands on popular characters is a big thing right now.
And it's all like in this one place where everybody can see it. Like unlike comics, which is like a very, well, it's not niche, but like there's a group of people that do that. Like if you collect anything, like it's here. Do you see what I mean? Like, so as soon as you transition to NFTs, you're going to join Veve because you're like, oh, well, I'm actually a Tokidoki. Oh no, I'm a comic person. Oh no, I'm a statue person. Oh no, I do.
Yeah.
So everything's here. So like, it's just going to amplify that much more because you're having all this money from these different areas coming into one house. Mm-hmm. And it's like now like you're in the house of collecting for the future. Like this, literally looking at like the Apple, like literally like Apple, but now for NFTs, right?
Well, I remember my friend telling me too, like speaking on that point, how they have everything. My friend from England the other day, we were talking. He was saying, he's like, bro, like he either heard or he said how cool, like, or he was like imagining, he's like, how cool would it be if Veve signed deals with music, right? And then we started talking. Yeah, we're like, how sick would it be if like your favorite song, right? You bought it and it's a little record that you buy. It's, how there's like your collectibles and then your comics, and then under that it would say music, right? And you walk into your showroom and imagine there was a little record player in the corner, and whenever you wanted to show your showroom, you could pick whatever song you want and that record would go on this record player. And then you walk around your showroom and that song's playing. You know what I mean? But that's also a collectible. But like, so see, people would be like Drake's new song that comes out, let's say it's only limited to 10,000 people, so they collect Drake's song and you walk in and that song playing is another aspect to how much money you have in your collection.
I love that. See, that's super interesting with NFTs because then like you would own that NFT. Like, it's not like Spotify, like when your subscription ends or cancels, like you no longer have access, or
Yeah.
like you would have that forever, right? It's just interesting to think about that.
Yeah, or you, like it doesn't even have to be like licensed by like Drake and stuff. But like this could just be like little songs. Like they could release like 10 songs.
Yeah.
And little albums that just Veve made. It's like Veve songs. And yeah, if you have one of the songs, it's like worth however much money, Because Veve, there's gonna be a certain time I think Veve can make its own collectibles that are gonna be worth something. Veve's gonna be such a big brand that they could probably make their own collectible.
It's true, man. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's tough. It's just tough. Like I find, seeing everything pop, and I'm like, I just wish like we would have had more from the beginning. But again, I can't complain. Yeah. We do have, but it's just like we would have easily been millionaires from this.
Yeah, but you can't like, bro. We could still easily be millionaires.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So you can't complain. And at the end of the day, there's money opportunities everywhere in the world. I think it was like you that told me like every year there's like, or every 10 years there's like a really good way to make money. Yeah. And like 10 years ago that was like Bitcoin, for example, and then 10 years before that might have been like, I don't know, getting into Apple stocks. Like
yeah.
There's always opportunities. There's probably not every 10 years. There's probably opportunities every month. I'm sure there's another thing out right
now that you can 100x your money like tonight.
Yeah,
you did the right move or whatever. But like
exactly,
it is like finding a needle in the haystack. Like we lucked out for sure, right? But you're right. Like I mean, renting NFTs is coming, staking your only, all these things are like on the way. So it's
and
over here,
Exactly. Like let's say renting NFTs is a thing, and you could rent your Spider-Man. You'll just make passive income just off this holding that Spider-Man. Plus, if you want to sell it after, you'll make even more money off that. So
yeah, I agree.
Like there's so much streams of income. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I think we should just enjoy the ride,
The hardest part is not landing drops though now. Like I never landed drops. So I'm like, to build the leverage that I used to be able to get is difficult. Like now you have to make more risks.
Yeah.
To actually scale, because I'm like, I got to sell off a Grail now to like then make a calculated risk to then like hopefully make a little bit of profit, then jump back into the Grail. Like that's literally like the only thing I can do now, because I'm like, I'm stuck without landing drops. You know?
Well, maybe you should just come to the house because maybe your Wi-Fi just sucks.
Yeah, bro, we've got like fiber here, man. Literally fiber. I don't know I think it's my phone. It's like an iPhone 11 Pro. I don't know if you, like upgrade that, and I probably have too much things on it. Like there's probably a few things I'm doing wrong, but like, did you land today?
No, today I didn't. But to be honest, usually I get it every single time.
Wow.
Like no, like not every single time. If there's a drop with friggin' 5,000 editions, like the odds of me getting that are pretty rare. But for the most part, I usually get drops on 2 different accounts, and like mom gets drops too and stuff. So
yeah,
if you guys don't know, our mom's some crazy collector. Oh yeah, I love that comic.
Bro, guess how much this was?
I was with you.
Oh yeah, you were there. It's like $80.
I was gonna guess it straight away. I was gonna say the exact number.
Yeah, I feel like, no way.
How'd you get it?
But it's crazy though, like for that comic, and I mean, obviously it's not a crazy grade, it's just raw. But I was thinking about that today. I was like, it's amazing now, all of us going back and jumping into the physical NFTs.
Well, yeah, man, I'll show you. Like, I got a few stuff now.
Yeah, let's check it out. Well, I saw your. I actually put it on my Instagram.
Oh, did you? Yeah. I'm starting to collect now in real life.
Tell them about how sweet that Todd feels. Like it's like you said, it's like it's like made of clay. Like it just looks badass.
Yeah, it's like. What the heck? Yeah, like let me move this little Veve sign right here. That a nice man Chad gave it to me. But yeah, no, like this Todd, it's way heavier than I like imagined, and it's got the number on the bottom.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the quality behind this Todd, like seeing it in person, seeing it on digital is one thing, but seeing it in person is like just like insane. I don't know if it's focusing right now.
Yeah, it looks crazy.
Yeah, but like it's crazy. And then yeah, I got this little Iron Man, little Funko Pop gold one, just because I got the Iron Man gold and Veve. And then I bought a bunch of the things. So I got this little thing right here, and I got this Veve sticker on. It's all lit up. And I got some comics. I got some cards down here and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to me because like me and my friends talked about, for example, we're like it's crazy because we kind of thought it was like almost like I don't want to say nerdy, because to be honest, I am a nerd now.
But, yeah, you're now, bro. You're joining the forces. You used to be,
it's sick.
Like athletes, and now we're like these big nerds.
Yeah, and me and my friends were talking about, we're like, it's crazy because like back in the day, I would have never collected anything like that, And this Veve app has got me so into it, and I think your buddy talked about it too. Remember when he went to that comic store and the guy's like, "Oh, I don't believe in collectibles" or something?
Mm.
And he's like, the reason I'm here is because, or he's like, I don't believe in NFTs. And he's like, the reason I'm here is because of NFTs.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Like
So
I'm
I think
here exactly. Like you're lucky that NFTs exist because now I'm buying more merchandise from your store, and like serious too, because you had made so much money from NFTs that you're like, give me a Todd, give me this Joker, give me this, give me that. And like I'll be honest with you, bro, if Secret Rare Spider-Man ever hits like a mil, like I will get a tattoo like down the back because I'll be like, this is what gave me financial freedom. Like I'm done.
literally, yeah, I'll tattoo it on you, bro. So I'm getting
yeah, exactly. Just make sure you do a little bit of practice, but
yeah. Well, no, it's okay. You have so much money, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, you just get it like redone.
yeah, just get it redone after. But yeah, no, for sure, man. Like, but yeah, like going back to our main point of this whole call, like, I just think there's so much stuff. Like, I think people are panicking too much right now, and they just need to relax because there's so much stuff in the app that's gonna go up like crazy. Like, and obviously, I always refer back to Mara, but I think that's one that's gonna go nuts. That's super slept on right now. I think it's only at 350, and that's the rare. And the ultra rare super girls at 2.4K. Like I don't think in any set that's the case. In any set on the entire app, I don't think there's that much of a difference.
You're right. You're honestly right, bro. Seriously.
You know? Yeah, like I actually don't know one set that's the case at all.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest jump I've probably ever seen.
So I think that the point that we're making here is like, as much as like some things have flown, like we had the first wave that is now gone. Like, let's just be real. If you're an average person, nobody in that right mind is going to be taking out $10,000 to $12,000, especially if you're Canadian, out of your bank account to get one Superman, right? You're going to be probably like trying to work your way up. You might get a Joker, you might get one of these things. But like the thing is that what we're saying is that like if things continue to propel like they are currently, then that Joker will be at Todd's level at some point. It will be 13 grand, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what can you do now to make these calculated decisions? And like being patient is key. Like we might have a big retracement next week if something massive happens or if there's a new big drop or what have you. But it's like, if you panic and then sell Joker back off at like 1.3K, then this is the whole point. Like that's a patient game here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's also another really hard part. A lot of people, they see a new drop come out. Like we saw with Invisible Girl. It obviously wasn't that big of a drop.
Yeah.
But when Invisible Girl came out, and that's not the FA, people like started selling off stuff just to get into that. Like Iron Man's went down to 1.2K. My buddy got a secret rare Invisible Girl off the drop, bought Iron Man. Iron Man cheapest one's at 2.3 now because it was at 1.8, and then when the drop happened, it went down to 1.2.
Right.
And now it's over pumped. You know what I mean? And then whoever sold Iron Man at 1.2 and bought into Invisible Girl, it's only at 1.5.
Yeah.
So exactly. At the end of the day, you have to be like, even though there's hype there and it's a new collectible and everyone's like, oh, like I want to get that. You know that you have to like you said earlier, you have to stay convicted to yourself and believe in what you have.
Well, remember that whole thing that happened with like I mean, these are great points to bring up. Remember for me, I couldn't get Steamboat Willie because I only had 2K liquid at the time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, dude, do I take out more money? And then it took me like a few weeks to get it. And then when I finally got it, I got it around 4K. But like my point is like I didn't like kill anything off or sell anything or do any rash decision making because I couldn't. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like that's the biggest thing. Like that's the biggest thing we've learned. Like you can't just like when there's hype, you can't just FOMO into it.
And the other thing too is like exactly, bro. And the other thing too is about edition sizes is that this is the biggest thing that we noticed is okay, yeah, Superman and Todd's are grails, but when there is a significant drop, like if they drop like Thor or Wolverine, you will see Superman like retrace like maybe like up to 30%. And
for sure,
that is because there's so much more variability when you have more and more people that are bought into a collectible. So if you have like 1,000 editions of something, let's say there's like a big collectible, as maybe you have 5 or 6 guys that drop or girls that drop their Secret Rare Spider-Man, right? And they're like, I want to get rid of this. But with like Superman, you might have like times 8 that or 10. So you might have like 100 people, which will drop the price. And that's the good thing about like some of these bigger like Todds and Jokers and whatever is that there still probably will be another entry point once there's a gem shortage. I mean, I don't think it's going to like retrace like 50%, but like if Todds goes to like 20, you might get back in at like 13 or 14 if there's retracement, right?
But the thing you have to think about too, right? Like this is what I think about. So let's say Thor drops and you have a Superman, right? And you try to sell Superman. In the grand scheme of things, which character is more popular? Like let's say Thor drops, 2 days later, somebody comes into the app, right? which one would they want more, Superman or Thor? Because they weren't there for the Thor drop.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would probably likely be Superman, just based off of like.
Yeah, based off popularity, it would likely be Superman. So sometimes, even though like, yeah, you might want a Thor, but it's better off to just hold your Superman.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times too, these people that get these drops, like my friend made a good point. He's like, a lot of these people, so say they get off the drop, they get secret rare Thor, right? They sell it for 10K. Where are they going to go put their money now? They're not just going to sit there or try to get back into Thor. They're going to go for the other grails. So all those people that selling it at a shortage now, they're going to go buy those up. The price of that grail is going to go right back up in no time.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
You know, with all these new people buying it. So yeah, that's my point.
Yeah. Well, good chatting, bro. I mean, I love just like, you know, having you on and just like, you know, shooting the shit like this, because I think it's important. Like, I don't think having like just, you know, this constructed dialogue all the time is what's most helpful to people. Like, I feel like, you know, these are probably the same thoughts that a lot of people are thinking, just like us. I think the opportunities are still there. I still think it's early. I know it doesn't sound like it's early, but I do think like anybody that comes in, buys a mirror, buys a Joker, buys a Wonder Woman, buys these things that are significant, like you have to be proud of what you own despite other people having more than you. Like, you know, there's some people that have, you know, 100 times what I have, right? But I might have 100 times what somebody else has. And
exactly.
So it's like, you can't be upset about the positions that you have. Like, you and I could be millionaires, but we also could have just said, hey, screw it. Like, let's sell everything off and leave and just be left with nothing. So
For sure.
it's like, we got to appreciate where we're at, you know?
Well, yeah. And like, even I know there's some people, like even some of my friends, like they don't have much. They might have $400 in the app.
Yeah.
You know, even if you have one of a Marvel Mighty in the app, at least you know about the app. You know what I mean? And like that could change at any time. You get lucky off one drop, you're set. Like, you literally get lucky off one drop, you could make up to 10 grand off a drop.
Yeah.
Depending on which drop it is. You know what I mean? Like, if you got Walt Disney on the drop and you just turned your phone off, you just made 30 grand.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's like just luck. Like, I think one of my friend's friend got Walt Disney off the drop, and he's literally, he just got it and just held it. Another my friend got Ultra and Mickey off the drop, and now it's at 9K, and it was $100 to buy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you don't have anything right now, don't worry. Like, there's still lots of time.
I agree with you. And I think they're going to like start, you know, introducing a new kind of like drop system, which would be more like a lottery system as well. Like, people are put in a queue. And so therefore, you know, if some people have bots, or if some people are just like good at, you know, like good at like landing drops or live in certain areas, hopefully that will eliminate some of it. But the thing is like, there could be just a bunch of bot accounts that these things still go to, because somebody's like, oh, let me start 1,000 accounts. No, but I mean, I'm sure they're going to start eliminating some of this stuff where it's harder to get. So, but yeah, bro, thanks again for
yeah, no problem.
It's always good.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, bro. It always feels good to have the little chats going and get the little NFT Pirates going again. You know, it's fun. I like it.
Yeah, man, 1,000%. Yeah. All right, buddy. We'll talk soon then, eh?
All right, sounds good. See you soon.
All right, see you, brother.